The natural defenses are strong. The barriers of caution are down. Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off the Kicksville.
Hey guys, Darth here. If you're just interested in seeing the huge crit compilation, then feel free to go ahead and skip to this part of the video. However, if you're interested in learning how exactly I managed to do all that, then I'm going to go ahead and show you that right now. Alright, the first thing I'll show you here is the talents that you need to pick to be able to do this. There's only really 4 talents that I would say that you actually need. The rest of them you can kind of just pick what you want. There of course are some that are ideal for helping you set up your one-shots, but you really only truly need 4. In the first row here, you might think that you need Eradication, which says that Chaos Bolt increases the damage you deal to the target by 10% for 7 seconds, but you don't really need that, because if you do this correctly, they're not going to be standing after your first Chaos Bolt, so this isn't really going to help you. In your second tier, you actually do need this one, Internal Combustion. Chaos Bolt consumes 5 seconds of your Immolate, and it deals that damage with your Chaos Bolt. So you immolate the target, and then you're going to go ahead and hit them with a Chaos Bolt, and it's going to consume 5 seconds of the immolate damage to power up your Chaos Bolt. So you need this one right here. Third tier, you can go ahead and pick whatever you'd like. I happen to be running Demon Skin. Fourth tier, you can pick what you'd like. A lot of people run Cataclysm. I sometimes do that. I happen to have this one right now, Fire and Brimstone. Not a big deal. Tier 5, you can pick what you want, but Mortal Coil, in my opinion, is just the best for PvP in general. For your 6th tier, you'll need this one right here, Grimoire of Sacrifice. So you sacrifice your pet, and you have a chance to go ahead and deal 817 additional shadow damage when you cast harmful spells. So this technically won't be added to the number of your Chaos Bolt, but when it lands, it lands at the exact same time, so your opponent's not really going to know the difference if you happen to land with a 30k Chaos Bolt. It seems like it was a 31k because this happened to land at the same time. So Grimoire of Sacrifice, you do need this, and you need this right here in your 7th tier, Dark Soul Instability. It gives you a temporary boost to your crit by 30% for 20 seconds, and on the Chaos Bolt tooltip it actually says the very last line, your damage is further increased by your critical strike chance, so it will directly increase your Chaos Bolt damage. As far as your PvP talents are concerned, this just happens to be what I normally run with Nether Ward and Demon Armor, but you do of course need Focus Chaos, and that one's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, Conduits. Regardless of whatever covenant you happen to go with, or whatever soulbind you happen to currently have activated, there's only one conduit that you really do need to have socketed, and it is this potency conduit down here, Ashen Remains. This one directly increases the damage of your Chaos Bolt and your Incinerate by a certain percentage depending on what item level you have. Mine is a item level 200, so it's 5.6% damage increase to targets currently afflicted by Immolate. So since you're already going to have Immolate on the target, either by casting Immolate or Cataclysm, this will increase your damage of your Chaos Bolt directly, so this one is a must-have. For legendaries, there is one legendary that stands out as being quite clearly the one that will boost the damage of your Chaos Bolt the most. That is this one right here, Madness of the Azj Fakir. It says that Chaos Bolt increases the damage of Chaos Bolt by 25% and reduces the cast time of Chaos Bolt by 20% for 4 seconds. So this one, for the record, is the best one just for damage, but I don't run it. I don't use it because it's very hard to set up. It's already hard to set up your one shot, but this one right here, if you one shot someone, they're already going to be dead. So you don't need a follow up Chaos Bolt that's powered up. So the only way that's going to help you is by hitting a second target. So that's hoping that you're in a situation where you have the freedom to go ahead and recast on the second target, which in PvP is kind of hard to do, especially when, as a Destruction Warlock, when you use all your cooldowns, I just tend to get interrupted and crowd controlled all the time or focused, so it's harder to do. So in a 1v1 situation, this literally just gives you no benefit. So I don't use it, but just to let you know, this one is the one that will power up your Chaos Bolt the most if you're just looking for max damage, but best of luck setting that up. It's kind of tricky. I happen to run this one right here, Cinders of the Azure. The extra charge on Conflagrate and all that is just the best for PvP, so that happens to be what I'm running. And items. The items you will need are some Spectral Flasks of Power. They increase your primary stat by 70 for 1 hour, which would be your intellect, and they persist through death. The next items you will need are some Potions of Spectral Intellect. They increase your intellect by 190 for 25 seconds. Both the Spectral Flask of Power and the Potion of Spectral Intellect are made by alchemists, so you can either make them or buy them off the auction house. And the last items you will need are Saltwater Potions. It increases all damage and BGs by 30%. You can buy them for Marks of Honor at a couple of the vendors in different BGs. And macros, you are going to need to make a macro in order to use all of these items and your abilities at the same time so that you can go ahead and pull this off. So in order to go ahead and make that macro, you can either hit escape and click on macros right here, or if you prefer, you can go ahead and just hit enter and type /m and then press enter again. Either way will bring up your macro interface. So I have the macro that you will need right here, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it and remake it with you guys to show you what all you need to do. So you need to go down here to new to make a new macro, and you can title it whatever you like. I title mine One Shot Destro or something like that, so I will know exactly what it is. So go ahead and hit OK, and then right here at the very top you can type pound or hashtag, whatever you prefer, show tooltip all together, then a space, and then you can shift left click whatever you'd like, a spell or an item, a trinket, anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and shift left click my saltwater potion here, because the saltwater potion is the one that has the longest cooldown out of all of the cooldowns that you're going to use. So I'll know all of my cooldowns are up when the saltwater potion is off of cooldown again. So that's what I want to display. So this line right here will allow your macro to display a tooltip instead of just being a blank picture. So that's what I use. It's the most useful thing for me, so I'll know when everything's available again. So next line, I'm going to type /cast because it's one of my moves. So you type /cast for one of your moves, and you type /use for an item. So I'm going to type /cast, and I'm going to hold down shift and left click Dark Soul Instability. So that's the first thing that I'm going to use. And then the next thing I'm going to use is I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to type /use space. I'm going to hold down left click, and I'm going to shift left click my Sinful Gladiator's Badge of Ferocity. So this macro will use both of those, and then I'm going to hit enter again, and I'm going to type /use, and it will be a potion of spectral intellect. And then the next line is going to be /use, and it will be a shift left click on the saltwater potion. So this macro will use Dark Soul Instability, my on-use PvP trinket, a potion of spectral intellect, and my saltwater potion. So this macro at this point is good to go. If you want, you can, and this is just something I tend to screw around with, but you can, if you want, macro in some dumb toy or something just to be idiotic in Battlegrounds. It's something I always do. I just think it's funny. You can macro in, let's see, what's a good one here. If I can find anything. Okay, that'll work. So you put in another line if you want to use a toy, and you just type /use because it's a toy, and I'm going to click on this one right here. Alright, so save. So now I have my one-shot macro. I'm bringing that right here. These saltwater potions only work in Battlegrounds, so right now when I test it, it's not going to use the saltwater potion, but it should use the other potion, my cooldowns, and my trinket, so it should look something like this. And that is your one-shot macro, guys, that you're going to need to go ahead and put this off. And your rotation or your setup is going to be extremely important that you do this the right way. Trust me, I did it wrong a number of times. I learned as I did this, and I'll show you why. I'll explain here in a second. The first thing that you're going to want to do at the very beginning of a battleground is you're going to want to go ahead and use your flask, the Spectral Flask of Power. It lasts for an entire hour and it persists through depth, so you want to make sure that you have that on. Also, you want to make sure that you have your Grimoire of Sacrifice up, so you summon a demon and then you sacrifice your demon. This buff also lasts for an entire hour, so those are the two longest buffs that you can have, so those are going to be first. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to pick up the Berserker buff in the Battleground. Berserker buffs look like this, and they give you a 30% increase to all damage that you deal for an entire minute. So that's a good while, so you want to make sure that you grab that first. After you have the Berserker buff, you're going to go ahead and you're going to engage enemy players. You're going to try and build up your soul shards by putting Immolate on enemy players, by using Conflagrate and casting Incinerates. When you do that, you should have full soul shards, or at least close to full soul shards. Make sure you have at least 4. After you do that, you're going to go ahead and summon your Infernal. Your Infernal is going to increase your damage as well, and it lasts for 30 seconds. After your Infernal is out, when you have multiple targets that you plan on hitting that already have Immolate on them, and when you already have a few charges of Backdraft by using Conflagrate, then you are quickly going to use your one-shot macro. Now, if you look at the duration of some of these things here, your Potion of Spectral Intellect has a duration of 25 seconds. Your Dark Soul Instability has a duration of 20 seconds. Your on-use PvP trinket has a duration of 15, and the Saltwater Potion only has a duration of 12 seconds. That gives you a 12-second window in which you can actually deal maximum damage. That's a very short window. So the last thing that you want to be doing during those 12 seconds is realizing that you don't really have that many soul shards, and then you have to start casting Immolates, and you have to start casting Conflagrates and Incinerates to build up your soul shards and to build up these charges of Backdraft that you should already have. When you have those 12 seconds, you should instantly be ready to just start casting Chaos Bolts on targets that are already afflicted by your Immolate. That's what you should be doing. So you don't want to waste any time doing that. Trust me, I figured that out along the way. So it should look like this. You should already have your Flask on. You should have your Grimoire up. You go ahead and you get Immolate on multiple targets. After you have Immolate up and you have full soul shards, you're going to go ahead and summon your Infernal. Then you're going to use your one-shot macro. Then you're going to start just dealing out some death here. And when you have all of those buffs in the battleground, you're going to start hitting some pretty ridiculous numbers. Also, make sure that you are mashing Conflagrate at the same time that your Chaos Bolt cast is finishing, so that they should ideally land pretty much at the same time. And the last piece of information I can give you here is about this debuff that all flag carriers or orb carriers get the longer they've been holding onto the flag or orb. They take an increased amount of damage, and it does stack really high, over 10 stacks, so over 100% increased damage taken. So if you are looking purely just to see the highest max hit that you can possibly get, your best bet would be to hit a flag or orb carrier that has been holding on to the flag or orb for an extremely long time.
To be